I never imagined the day my own flesh and blood would put a price tag on my memories, but there I stood, frozen in the middle of my living room, staring at the empty velvet box where my wedding jewelry used to be. The same jewelry my late husband gave me on our 25th anniversary, the last gift he ever placed into my hands, now just an empty space mocking me. My heart didn't just drop. It cracked. Quietly, but painfully. And the worst part? It wasn't stolen. It wasn't misplaced. No. My daughter, my only daughter, had sold it behind my back. I remember confronting her, my voice trembling more from heartbreak than anger. She didn't even bother to look ashamed. She just rolled her eyes and said, almost bored, "You don't even wear it, Mom. I needed the money more than your old memories." That sentence hit me harder than any betrayal I'd faced in my 67 years. She said it like my memories were junk. Like my life before her didn't matter. But what truly shattered me, what truly made my breath catch in my chest, was what happened the next morning, when someone knocked on my door. A stranger, a tired-looking, middle-aged man with sorrow in his eyes, stood on my porch holding the jewelry box I thought was lost forever. He handled it like something fragile, something sacred, as he placed it into my trembling hands. Then he gave me something else. A folded, handwritten note. A message not addressed to me, but to my daughter. His voice was calm, but carried the weight of someone who had seen too much. "Give this to her," he said softly. "And tell her, she should be ashamed." Before I could ask who he was, or why he had my jewelry, he turned and walked away, disappearing down the street like a ghost with unfinished business. My hands shook as I opened the note. But the words inside. My God. They didn't just expose what my daughter had done. They revealed who she had gotten involved with, why she had sold my jewelry, and the danger she had unknowingly brought to my front door. And the worst part. This was only the beginning of a truth I wasn't prepared to face. Stay with me till the end, because what happens next will shock you. And if you love emotional revenge stories like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more. My name is Marlene, and this is the story of how my daughter's greed pulled her into the wrong hands, and how one stranger's message exposed everything she tried so desperately to hide. The note reveals something alarming, something we won't read just yet. Before everything fell apart, my life was quiet. Not perfect, not glamorous, but peaceful in a way that felt earned. After my husband, Thomas, passed away, the house felt too big, too silent, but I filled the empty spaces the only way I knew how, with routine. Morning tea by the kitchen window, tending to my little garden, knitting blankets I never finished, and writing letters to Thomas I never mailed. It wasn't an exciting life, but it was mine. And for the first time in years, I had found a rhythm that didn't hurt to wake up to. Then my daughter, Emily, came back home. She showed up one evening with 2 suitcases and tired eyes, saying she needed a couple of weeks to get back on her feet after her divorce. Of course, I welcomed her in. She was my daughter. I didn't care how long she stayed, I just wanted her to feel safe again. At first, her presence breathed life back into the house. She'd sit at the dining table, scrolling on her phone while I cooked. She'd laugh at the shows we used to watch together. Sometimes I'd wake up to the smell of coffee she made for us both, just like she used to when she was younger. But there were signs, small ones, that something inside her was unsettled. She stayed up late, whispering into her phone. She flinched every time an unknown number called. Bills she never explained kept arriving. Some mornings, she'd sit at the table with her head in her hands, breathing like she was trying not to fall apart. I wanted to ask. I wanted to help. But every time I tried, she'd force a smile and say, "I'm fine, Mom." Really. I believed her. Until the day I realized I shouldn't have. The first signs didn't come crashing in like a storm. They arrived quietly, like small cracks spreading through a window barely visible, but growing with every passing day. It started when Emily began asking for small amounts of money. "Just a little, Mom. I'll pay you back next week, I promise." Of course, I didn't mind. She was my child. But the requests kept coming. $10 became 50. 50 turned into 200. Each time, there was a new reason: car trouble, a late fee, something her ex-husband hadn't paid. The excuses blended together until none of them made sense anymore. Then other things started to feel off. She'd rearrange parts of the house without asking. My living room shelves, the pantry, even my sewing room, things she never touched before suddenly felt like they were hers to reorganize. When I gently mentioned it, she snapped. Why do you care so much about stupid things? Stupid things. She didn't mean it, I told myself. She was stressed. Hurt. Trying to rebuild. But the tone she used, dismissive, cold, wasn't the daughter I raised. Then one afternoon, while dusting, I found my jewelry cabinet slightly open. I brushed it off at first, assuming I had forgotten to close it properly. But days later, I noticed a pair of earrings missing. Just one pair. I searched everywhere, telling myself I was being forgetful. The next morning, the earrings were back in their exact place. Too exact, as if someone had tried to put them back without being caught. Emily claimed she found them under the sofa. I wanted to believe her, but something in her eyes didn't match the story. And for the first time, a small knot of fear formed in my stomach, quiet but undeniable. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The next morning, I woke to the soft clinking of dishes in the kitchen, something that used to fill me with warmth. But lately, every small sound in this house felt like tension waiting to snap. I walked in to find Mia already dressed, scrolling on her phone while half-heartedly stirring a pot of oatmeal. Her eyes flicked up at me for a moment, then back down. No good morning. No acknowledgement of last night's argument. Just silence so thick it felt like humidity. I poured myself tea, trying to steady my breath. Mia, I said quietly, we need to talk about. She cut me off with a sigh so exaggerated it felt rehearsed. Mom, please. Not again. I'm already stressed enough. You don't understand what it's like right now. I understand that you sold something that didn't belong to you, I said. Something important. And we can't just pretend that didn't happen. She slapped her phone down on the counter. I told you I needed the money. Why can't you ever help me instead of judging me? A familiar ache pressed beneath my ribs. She had no idea, absolutely no idea, how much I had already sacrificed for her. The late-night double shifts. The vacations I never took. The heirlooms I didn't sell when times were hard because I wanted her to have a legacy someday. I've helped you, I whispered. More than you know. That's not the point, she snapped back. You don't get my life. You don't get my struggles. I stared at her, this girl I had raised, this girl I had protected from every storm I could. And now she was the storm crashing into me. The worst part wasn't the disrespect. It wasn't even the invasion of trust. It was that she truly believed I didn't care. Mia, the jewelry you sold, my voice wavered. It wasn't just mine. It was your grandmother's. And her mother's before that. It's the only thing I have left of them. For a moment, just a flicker, her expression softened. Then, as if catching herself, she hardened again. Well, it's not like you wore it, she muttered. It was just sitting there. And I needed the cash more than that necklace needed dust. My heart dropped. Dust. That's all she thought it was. Before I could respond, the doorbell rang, sharp and sudden, making both of us jolt. Mia rolled her eyes and sank deeper into her chair. I'm not getting that, she said. Probably another bill anyway. But something in my chest tightened, a strange intuition blooming like a warning. I set my cup down slowly, wiped my palms against my robe, and walked toward the door with a feeling I couldn't explain, like the house itself was holding its breath. When I opened it, someone completely unexpected was standing there. And in their hands was a small velvet box. I drove home in silence, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. The jewelry box sat on the passenger seat, the same place Mia used to sit when she was little, swinging her legs and singing along to the radio. Funny how life circles back, how the same seat could hold something priceless one year and heartbreak the next. When I pulled into the driveway, I sat there for a moment, breathing in and out, letting the weight of everything settle. I knew Mia would be inside. I knew she'd either be defensive or dismissive. And I knew that before anything else, I needed to decide what kind of mother I wanted to be in this moment, hurt and reactive, or steady and honest. I chose the second. Inside, I found her curled up on the couch, earphones in, scrolling through TikTok like nothing had happened. Her eyes flicked toward the velvet box in my hand, and she immediately stiffened. Oh great, she muttered. You got it back. I didn't respond to the tone. Not yet. I placed the box gently on the coffee table and sat across from her. Mia, I began softly, we need to talk. She rolled her eyes, tugging out an earbud. What now, Mom? I already said I'm sorry. No, I said quietly. You said you were sorry you got caught. That's not the same. Her jaw tightened, but she didn't interrupt. I opened the box slowly, revealing the necklace and rings. The light from the window caught on the stones, throwing soft reflections across the room. These aren't just accessories, I said. They're stories. They're memories. Your grandmother wore this necklace the night she met your grandfather. She cried when she passed it down to me. She always wanted you to have it someday. Mia's face shifted, defiance faltering, fear creeping in. I didn't know that, she whispered. Because you never asked, I replied gently. You assumed it was just jewelry. You assumed it had no value. You assumed your need was bigger than my history. She closed her eyes, rubbing her forehead. Mom, I was desperate. My rent was overdue. My job cut my hours. I didn't know what to do. My chest tightened. This was what I'd been waiting for, not excuses, but truth. You could have told me, I said. I would have helped you. I always help you. But when you took this without asking, you didn't just sell jewelry. You broke trust. Her breathing sped up, her voice cracking. I thought you'd lecture me, or say no, or think I was irresponsible. Mia, I whispered, I already knew you were struggling more than you admitted. But I thought, at the very least, you'd come to me. Not steal from me. She flinched at the word steal. Silence filled the room, stretching and stretching until she finally spoke. What did that buyer say to you? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. You never told me. I looked at her, wondering if she was ready for the true weight of the message the stranger had given me. Are you sure you want to know? I asked quietly. She nodded, fear and curiosity battling in her eyes. So I took a long, steady breath. And told her. Mia swallowed hard, pulling her knees up to her chest as if bracing for impact. What did he say? She whispered. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I reached into the pocket of my cardigan and pulled out the folded note the stranger had handed me, the note addressed to her. I set it on the coffee table between us. Mia stared at it as if it were a ticking bomb. He said, I began slowly, that you should be ashamed. Mia's breath hitched. Ashamed of what? Of selling it? Or something else? I leaned back, studying her. That's what I'd like to know. She hesitated, eyes darting between me and the note, her fingers trembling slightly. For a moment, she looked like a frightened child again, not the grown woman who had made a reckless decision. I don't know why he'd say that, she insisted, but her voice cracked at the end. Mia, I said softly, look at me. She did. Did you get that jewelry appraised before selling it? Did someone warn you? Did something happen when you met the buyer? She blinked rapidly, panic flickering in her eyes. No, she said too quickly. Nothing happened. I just needed the money. I could tell she was holding back. A mother knows. But I didn't corner her, not yet. Instead, I picked up the note and slid it toward her. Then let's see what he thought you should be ashamed of. Her hand hovered over the paper, but she didn't touch it. What if it's something bad? She whispered. Then we'll face it together, I replied gently. She nodded, though doubt still clouded her face. Taking a shaky breath, she unfolded the paper. Her eyes scanned the message, and with each line, her shoulders tensed more and more. The color drained from her cheeks. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Mia, what does it say? She looked at me, truly looked at me, and for the first time that day, her expression wasn't defensive or annoyed or careless. It was terrified. I can't, she whispered, her voice shaking. Mom, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. The panic in her voice shot ice down my spine. You didn't know what? I demanded, leaning forward. Mia, tell me. Her hands trembled violently as she tried to hand me the paper, but before I could take it, she pulled it back toward her chest as if she needed one more moment to process. Finally, in a breathless whisper, she said. He didn't buy the jewelry to keep it. He bought it to warn me. My heart stopped. Warn you? About what? She swallowed hard. About the man I sold it to before him. For a moment, everything inside me went cold. There was another buyer? I asked quietly. Her voice cracked. Yes. And he wasn't just a buyer, Mom. He was. She cut herself off, shaking her head as tears welled in her eyes. I reached out, gently placing my hand over hers. Mia, I said softly, you need to tell me the truth now. She tightened her grip on the note, breathing unevenly. The first man I sold the jewelry to wasn't safe. I exhaled slowly, bracing myself. Not safe how? Her next words came out barely audible, yet they changed everything. He's been following me. My throat went dry. Following you? I repeated, barely able to get the words out. For how long? Mia wiped her cheeks with trembling fingers. A few weeks, maybe a month. I didn't think it was real at first. I thought I was being dramatic. Mia, why didn't you tell me? She let out a broken laugh. Because you already think I'm irresponsible. Because every time I mess up, you look at me like Dad would be disappointed. Her words hit me like a slap. I opened my mouth to say something, but she shook her head and kept talking. And because I didn't want you to think I'd gotten myself into something I couldn't handle. But I did. I really did. She finally handed me the note, her hand shaking so badly the paper crinkled. I unfolded it and read the stranger's terse handwriting. Your daughter sold this to someone dangerous. He has a history. Tell her to stop meeting him. Tell her to stop responding. Tell her to be careful. And tell her this. Next time, he won't just take her things. My hands trembled as I lowered the note. Mia, this man, who is he? She inhaled sharply. His name is Eric. I met him at a bar. He seemed nice. Charming, actually. He bought me drinks, made me feel noticed. A pit formed in my stomach. I had heard stories, too many, about charming men who only needed a few weeks to twist themselves into someone's life. Did he ask you for money? I asked. She shook her head. No. He asked for help. Sob stories. Manipulation. He made it sound like he just needed a little support. And then I got desperate for cash, and I thought selling the jewelry would fix things. I didn't know he'd get angry when I didn't tell him. So you sold the jewelry to him first, I said slowly, and then what? Why did the second man have it? He said Eric pawned it almost immediately, Mia whispered. The second man bought it from the pawn shop. And when he recognized it, when he traced the name, I guess he realized I had no idea who I was dealing with. The room suddenly felt too small. Too quiet. I stood up, pacing, my heart pounding so loudly I could hear it in my ears. Mia, you're telling me a dangerous man, someone who's already threatened you, knows who you are, where you live, and that you've been trying to pull away? She nodded slowly. And has he contacted you today? I pressed. Her silence was the answer. I stopped pacing. What did he say? Mia reached for her phone reluctantly. 4 missed calls. 2 messages. She swallowed. And 1 voicemail. Play it. She hesitated. Mom, he's angry. I don't care. Play it. Her thumb hovered before she pressed play. A harsh male voice crackled through the speaker. Mia. You think you can just disappear? You think selling my gift was funny? Answer your phone. We're not done. My blood ran cold. That was it. The moment everything inside me snapped. Fear, anger, betrayal, love, every emotion collided until there was only one thing left. A mother's determination. I took the phone from her hand, my voice low but unwavering. This ends now. Mia looked up, startled. What are you going to do? I squared my shoulders, feeling a strength I hadn't felt in years. I'm going to confront him. And this time, he won't be dealing with you, he'll be dealing with me. Her eyes widened. Mom, no, he's dangerous. And so is any mother protecting her child, I said firmly. Because in that moment, I realized something. She had made mistakes. She had lied. She had been reckless. But she was still my daughter. And I wasn't letting some predator drag her deeper into his world, not while I was still breathing. I grabbed my coat. Eric wanted a conversation. He was about to get one. And it would be the last one he ever tried to have with my daughter. I didn't waste a second. The moment I realized the danger Mia was in, I sprang into action, not with anger, but with a careful plan. I knew I couldn't just confront Eric blindly. He was clever, manipulative, and dangerous. So I stayed calm, thinking like a mother protecting her child, and gathering every piece of leverage I could. First, I secured everything valuable in the house: jewelry, heirlooms, even cash hidden in drawers. If Mia had to escape or hide, she couldn't risk losing more than she already had. Then, I quietly reached out to a lawyer friend who specialized in situations like this, explaining everything I knew about the first buyer and this Eric character. I didn't tell Mia to stay silent, she was terrified enough, but I gave her rules: no unmonitored calls, no meeting him, and absolutely no money exchanges. Next, I began working behind the scenes. I traced Eric through contacts he had left at the pawnshop and discovered he had a long history of manipulating young women for quick money. With my lawyer, we involved authorities not as punishment, but as a shield. Within days, Eric was under scrutiny, unable to contact Mia, and unable to make another move without legal consequences. Meanwhile, I confronted Mia directly, but not to scold. I made her see the gravity of her choices. I didn't lecture, I guided. You have to be careful, I told her. You can't trust every stranger, no matter how charming they seem. And you can't hide things from the people who love you. I can't always stop danger before it finds you, but you can help me protect you by telling the truth. She cried openly for the first time that week, the weight of guilt settling on her shoulders. I didn't let her off the hook. She had to start rebuilding, contacting creditors, fixing the mistakes she made with Eric, and taking responsibility for the jewelry she sold. It wasn't easy for her, and it wasn't supposed to be. But slowly, step by step, she regained her footing. By the end, Eric was out of the picture, Mia was learning to manage her life without lies, and I finally felt a sense of calm return to the house. I didn't need revenge in the cruel sense, I needed justice, protection, and clarity. And that's exactly what we got. For the first time in weeks, I looked at Mia and felt hope. Not blind hope, not naive hope, but the kind that comes after surviving fear, betrayal, and mistakes together. We were scarred, yes, but stronger. And I knew one thing for certain. I would do whatever it took to protect her, even if it meant facing danger myself. Because a mother's love isn't measured by how much she tolerates, it's measured by how far she will go when her child is at risk. And Mia finally understood that. The days that followed felt surreal, like the world was finally catching its breath after a storm. Eric was gone, legally restrained and unable to contact Mia, but the shadow of fear lingered for a while. Every time the phone rang, I tensed. Every knock at the door made my heart leap. But slowly, the tension began to ease, and our home started to feel safe again. Mia learned the hard way that her choices have consequences. She returned the last of the jewelry she had sold to the pawnshop, paid back debts she had accumulated in secret, and began being honest with me about every step she took. It wasn't instant redemption, nothing like that ever is, but the weight lifted gradually as she realized the danger she had invited into her life, and how close she had come to disaster. I, too, felt a strange sense of closure. I had faced the fear that had gripped my chest, the betrayal that had cut me to my core, and the helplessness that had haunted me for days. I confronted the situation head-on, not with anger, not with vengeance, but with intelligence, patience, and love. And in doing so, I protected my daughter and preserved the legacy of the family that had been nearly destroyed by one reckless decision. Eric faced legal scrutiny, lost access to the jewelry, and was monitored by authorities. He learned the hard way that manipulative actions have consequences, and that preying on someone's desperation can backfire when the right person refuses to stay silent. Mia and I slowly rebuilt trust, not everything returned to the way it was, but we found a new rhythm. Our conversations became open, honest, and cautious at first, but each day, a little more warmth returned. She began understanding that respect, transparency, and honesty were the only ways to navigate a world that could be cruel if you weren't careful. And me. I realized that being a mother doesn't mean you shield your children from every danger. Sometimes, it means standing tall, facing the storm yourself, and teaching them to survive it. The jewelry was back. The danger was gone. But the lessons we learned about trust, greed, and courage were ours to keep forever. For the first time in a long while, I could breathe again. And I knew we were stronger for it. Looking back, I realize now that life doesn't give us warning signs in big, flashing lights. Often, the danger comes quietly, like a whispered temptation, a small decision that seems harmless at the time, or the simple choice to ignore what your heart already knows. My daughter's actions could have destroyed us. They could have left scars far deeper than a few missing pieces of jewelry. But they didn't. I hope my story reminds you of the importance of honesty, courage, and vigilance. Trust is fragile, and love alone cannot protect someone from the consequences of their choices, but it can guide them when they're lost. Never underestimate the power of speaking up, confronting danger, and taking action before it's too late. And to all parents out there, protecting your child sometimes means standing firm, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it scares you. It means teaching lessons not through punishment, but through guidance, presence, and unwavering love. And it means facing your own fears head-on, because a child often cannot do it alone. As for me and Mia, we are still learning every day. Our bond is different now, stronger, wiser, and more honest than ever. We carry the lessons of that terrifying chapter with us, and we carry each other. Life will test you, betray you, and challenge you, but it also gives you the chance to rise, to protect, and to transform even the deepest wounds into lessons that last a lifetime. And as for us, we survived, we learned, and we became stronger together.